Imagine this for a moment. You're pouring your time, your energy, and your heart into a woman. Yet instead of drawing her closer, she seems to drift further away. Every text feels heavier, every silence feels colder, and deep down, you sense a painful truth. The more you chase, the less she values you. That knot in your stomach, that voice whispering that you're losing her. It's not just paranoia, it's the reality of human psychology. And it's the very place most men fall into a trap they were never meant to escape from. See, no one tells men this early in life, but the moment you make a woman your mission, instead of making your mission, you give away the very thing she was drawn to in the first place. Respect. A woman may enjoy your attention at first, but when it turns into neediness, into desperation, something inside her quietly shifts. She begins to test you, to see if your world revolves only around her. And the second she realizes it does, she no longer feels inspired to fight for your place in her life. But here's the brutal twist. She won't tell you, she won't warn you she's losing respect. She'll just start becoming distant, irritable, distracted. She'll answer slower, laugh less, and her admiration for you will fade like smoke in the air. Meanwhile, you'll try harder, call more, plan bigger gestures, thinking it will fix things, while in reality, it only confirms her suspicion that she has you under her control. That is when attraction dies and regret takes its place. But here's what changes everything. When you stop chasing, when you stop proving yourself, when you pull back, not as a game, not as manipulation, but because you reclaim your power, your direction, your life. That's when the dynamic shifts. That's when she begins to feel the weight of losing you. That's when regret creeps in. Because nothing awakens desire more than the realization that what was once taken for granted might be gone forever. Most men don't realize this truth until it's too late. Attraction is not built by constant presence. It's built by selective absence. A woman doesn't feel your value when you're always available, always waiting, always ready to jump the moment she calls. She feels it when your attention is something she earns, not something she expects. When your time is sacred and you don't hand it over like it's worthless. Think about the men women regret losing the most. Were they the ones begging, pleading, and chasing? Or were they the ones who had purpose, who stood tall in their own world, who were willing to walk away when respect wasn't given? The answer is always the same. Women regret losing the man who refused to shrink himself just to be accepted, the man who knew his worth even when she doubted it. Here's where the psychology kicks in. Human beings, especially in relationships, value what they fear losing. When you chase, you remove fear, you remove mystery, you remove the sense that she has something rare in her hands. And when rarity disappears, so does desire. But when you step back, when you focus on becoming harder to replace through your discipline, your ambition, your growth, you ignite something she cannot ignore. That subtle anxiety of, what if he doesn't need me? What if he finds someone better? What if I just lost the man I'll never find again? That's the feeling that makes a woman regret. Not your gifts, not your constant reassurance, not your efforts to fix what's broken. It's the fear of losing a man she respects, admires, and sees as a prize. But understand this clearly. You don't create that regret by faking it. You create it by actually stepping into the version of yourself that no longer begs for validation. By showing, through your actions, that your life is full, your path is strong, and your presence is earned, not owed. That is when a woman realizes she may have just let go of the best man she ever had. Let me tell you something most men never hear. The moment you stop chasing, you don't just shift the balance with her, you shift the balance within yourself. Because chasing is not just about her, it's a reflection of a deeper wound inside you. It's the fear of being alone, the fear of not being enough, the fear that without her, you have nothing. And as long as that fear controls you, you'll always be weak in her eyes. A man becomes powerful the second he confronts that fear. When he wakes up and realizes, I don't need her to validate me. I am already complete. That shift in energy is magnetic. It's the difference between a man who clings to a woman like she's oxygen and a man who breathes freely with or without her. Women sense this difference instantly. One makes her pull away, the other makes her lean in. Think about the men in history, in stories, in real life who women idolize. They weren't desperate. They weren't chasing. They were men on a mission. They had focus, discipline, and the courage to walk away from anyone who didn't respect their value. And here's the truth. The more you live like that, the more she feels the weight of potentially losing you. It's not about ignoring her, it's about prioritizing yourself. It's about waking up and investing in your body, your goals, your money, your purpose. It's about building such a life that even if she walks away, you don't collapse. You rise higher. That kind of strength shakes a woman to her core because it means she cannot control you. And women regret losing men they cannot control because deep down, they know such men are rare. So the question becomes, who are you becoming when you stop chasing? Are you becoming bitter, resentful, closed off? Or are you becoming stronger, sharper, more disciplined, more valuable? The answer matters because regret is not triggered by silence alone. It's triggered when your silence is paired with undeniable growth. That's when she looks back and realizes she didn't just lose a man, she lost a force. Here's the paradox that flips everything. The moment you stop proving your worth to her, she starts questioning her worth to you. And that shift is what makes her restless. See, when a man is constantly chasing, he's broadcasting one message loud and clear: you are above me. I need to catch up to you. And no matter how much she pretends to enjoy it, a woman cannot admire a man she feels is beneath her. Respect dies, attraction fades, and her interest is gone before you even notice. But when you pull back, not out of anger, not out of pettiness, but out of quiet self-respect, you flip that script. Suddenly, she's no longer the prize being pursued. Suddenly, she has to wonder, does he even want me anymore? Am I losing him? What is he doing without me? Who is he becoming without me? That uncertainty gnaws at her, because for the first time, she feels what you once felt, the possibility of loss. And here's the truth most men miss. Women don't regret losing men who were always available. They regret losing the man who was willing to walk away. They regret losing the man who could not be caged. They regret losing the man who forced them to rise to his standards instead of lowering himself to theirs. This isn't about playing cold or heartless. It's about reclaiming balance. It's about living in such a way that her admiration becomes the natural response to your life, not the condition you're desperate to earn. The stronger your purpose, the clearer your boundaries, the less you tolerate disrespect, the more she realizes she's dealing with a man she can't easily replace. And that realization doesn't just spark attraction, it sparks regret. Because nothing haunts a woman more than looking back and realizing she once had a man who refused to beg, who refused to break, who refused to make her the center of his universe, and she let him go. That kind of man becomes unforgettable. He becomes the standard against which all future men are measured, and that is the man you're meant to be. There's something you must understand. Regret is not born in the moment she leaves. Regret is born in the silence that follows. At first, she feels powerful. She thinks she can replace you easily. She tells herself that you'll come crawling back, that you'll still be there waiting with open arms. But when you don't, when you stay focused, when you keep moving forward without chasing, that's when the cracks begin to form in her certainty. She checks her phone, expecting your name to light up the screen. Nothing. She posts something, waiting for your reaction. Silence. Days pass, weeks pass, and instead of you falling apart, she sees you rising. You look sharper, you sound stronger. You're chasing goals, not her. And that's when the whisper begins inside her mind. Did I just lose something rare? Did I just walk away from a man I'll never find again? Understand this. Women are surrounded by attention, compliments, messages, dates. They're never short of options, but attention is cheap. What isn't cheap, what isn't replaceable, is the presence of a man who commands respect, a man who doesn't bend to validation, a man who lives with purpose. That is what makes her compare every new guy to you and realize no one measures up. That is what turns her confidence into regret. And here's the beauty of it. You don't have to say a word. You don't have to send a single text. Your growth speaks for itself. Your silence becomes louder than any argument. Your presence in her memory becomes stronger than your presence in her life. That's the psychology of regret. It's not about forcing her to feel it. It's about becoming the kind of man who naturally creates it. So while she's busy wondering, replaying, questioning, you're busy winning. And eventually, she'll realize the truth every woman eventually faces. She didn't just lose a man, she lost the man who refused to lose himself. Here's what separates men who stay forgotten from men who become unforgettable: discipline. Because walking away is easy for a day, maybe even a week. But what happens when the loneliness creeps in? When you see her laughing with someone else? When your chest tightens and every instinct tells you to break silence, to reach out, to chase again? That's the battlefield most men lose on. They crumble under the weight of their own emotions, and the moment they do, the regret she might have felt vanishes. But the man who holds the line, who resists the pull of desperation, who chooses growth over weakness, that man plants himself in her mind forever. Because nothing is more haunting to a woman than a man who doesn't return when she expects him to. She can't stop thinking about it. She wonders if you've moved on, if someone else has captured your attention, if you've become even stronger without her. That mystery, that uncertainty, is what keeps her awake at night. And here's the truth. You don't create that effect by pretending. You create it by actually becoming stronger, by hitting the gym instead of hitting send, by chasing your vision instead of chasing her validation, by becoming so disciplined in your focus, so unshakable in your presence, that she realizes, whether she admits it or not, that losing you was her mistake, not yours. This is the pivot point, because when you rise in silence, when you transform pain into progress, when you prove to yourself that you don't need her to thrive, something incredible happens. You no longer care whether she regrets it or not. You're too busy winning, and paradoxically, that's when the regret burns deepest, because nothing cuts a woman sharper than realizing the man she thought would always be there became the man she'll never get back. That is the power you hold when you stop chasing. That is how you win, not by getting her back, but by becoming so strong she can't forget losing you. At the end of the day, the real victory isn't in making her regret losing you. It's in never losing yourself again. Because when a man gives up his power, when he bends over backwards for approval, when he chases endlessly, he doesn't just lose her respect, he loses his own. And the moment you reclaim that, the moment you decide that no woman is worth abandoning your mission for, you step into the kind of strength that changes everything. Understand this. Women are drawn to men they respect, and respect is born from independence, direction, and unshakable self-belief. When you embody that, you no longer need to play games. You no longer beg for attention. You become the standard. And when you become the standard, women don't just notice. They regret ever doubting you. They replay memories of you. They measure other men against you, and almost always, those men come up short. But here's the twist that matters most. By the time she realizes it, by the time regret floods her, you've already elevated beyond her reach. You've built yourself into a man who doesn't need her validation, who doesn't need her attention, who doesn't need her to feel complete. That's the moment you truly win. Not because she suffers in regret, but because you've grown into the man you were meant to be, with or without her. So let me ask you directly, are you ready to stop chasing and start winning? Are you ready to step into the discipline, the strength, and the power that not only makes her regret losing you, but makes you proud of who you've become? And